Jamie Preisz, if you were to take your art somewhere for a weekend getaway, where would you go?
I think probably Corsica. If you've ever been to Corsica.
I've seen photos.
It's this little island that's in between. There's Italy and it's kind of off the coast, Nice, like in France. And it is this beautiful place where they make beautiful wine. Everybody's relaxed. There's lots of different, landscapes and things that you can see, and there's lots of stuff you can do. And I think I'd need to take it there because it's a relaxed environment. I don't want anything too hectic.
Just want to be able to chill together.
I want to be able to chill and maybe have some mountains to escape to and come back to.
When did you first notice your art?
I think I first noticed my art. This is kind of an embarrassing story. When I was young, like year 4, year 3, so yeah, 10 or 11 years old, I remember I spent a lot of time drawing by myself, and my mum always gave me like drawing pencils and paper because it was the cheapest form of entertainment for a kid. And I would draw in our exercise books at school, we had these different projects each week. Maybe it'd be dinosaurs or planets. And I discovered that I could get all the girls' attention by drawing their entries for them. And so I just got really good at drawing because I wanted to chat to these girls, but yeah, I just...
You were pimping out your art early.
I work for them, yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Art was kind of like a wingman.
Yeah, it's the best wingman ever.
Yeah.
I love it. Was it a slow burn or was it quite fast and hot when you did notice it?
I think a slow burn, because I was always interested in other things like skateboarding or sports or, just stuff you do when you're a teenager. But the art was always there in the back of my mind. And originally when I left school, I remember thinking I want to either be a musician or be an artist. And I remember choosing art because I thought I liked music better and I wanted to keep that just as like my hobby. So I went to study art because I thought I liked music better, which is so strange to think about now. But
oh, that's really fascinating. But I can totally appreciate that. No, because it means that the music is just always joy-filled, whereas, as you would know, there can be a lot of angst with art as work and as full-time career.
And especially studying it, you can get so confused, like, what's my style? Is this art me? Am I the art? And, in university, you get so many, new ideas and new inspirations, and every idea that you think of, you realize has been done many times before, and then you start to get really confused. So I wanted to keep music separate from that and keep the art and delve into the art in that way, because I felt more comfortable doing art as a sort of work in a weird, strange way.
How long were you dating for before you committed to your art?
Probably by second year of university. I'd left the band that I was in and I just cared about art at that point. And I remember I didn't actually have any particularly good work at that point. I was trying every single art form that I could, but I knew in my head I wanted to be an artist, and I just didn't know what I was going to do yet, but I knew I was calling myself an artist in my own head, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How did you know?
How did I know? I think I just sort of fell into it, like I remember wanting, I just wanted to learn more, and there was nothing that woke me up in the morning and got me motivated like art did. And I used to go down to this cafe every day and do drawings, and then eventually the cafe owner noticed me doing these drawings and asked if he could buy one, or he wanted to buy a painting from me. And my first commission was to this cafe owner in Surrey Hills who said, can you do a painting for my new apartment? And I said, I actually don't have any money to buy paints or canvases. So he walked me up to the art store, bought me some paints and some canvases, and then I painted for him. And then eventually he just wanted another one and another one. And I got free food at the cafe, maybe $200 for a painting. That was enough to cover my rent. And I just thought like I'd nailed it.
You were like, I am winning at life.
I could have food at this cafe every day. I can pay my rent, and I would just sit upstairs and paint.
Oh my God, he's like your early patron.
Yeah, he really was. And he's still a friend today.
I was going to say, are you still in touch?
Still friends. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And can you see the evolution of your work through
yeah.
Oh, wow. And does he see it too?
Yeah, I don't think I want to show too many of those paintings, the early paintings that he got.
But I bet he loves them.
He loves them, yeah. Yeah.
Does he still follow your work now as well?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends now. And, you know, he was sort of 10 years older than me, 12 years older than me. And he had his own little cafe, and it was one of my early sort of influences to say, like, you can do this as a job. Yeah.
We all need that person, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so other than the band, when you committed fully, was there anything else you kind of had to give up?
It's so interesting thinking about your artwork as a person, because when I started thinking about it, I'm like, is this a very toxic relationship? Because I think that there's been times in my life where I've been in, you know, other relationships, you know, with human people. And I remember literally being asked, like, what's more important, like your art or me, in like maybe a heated discussion or something. And it's so hard, but there's been times that I've said the artwork. And it is a real commitment. You know, it takes up so much of your time, and it's not always giving back to you in the way that, you know, any other profession would, whether it be financially or even creatively and spiritually. Sometimes you can work so hard on your art and still be so frustrated with it. And for anyone looking into that from the outside, you'd go like, why are you putting in all this effort? So, yeah, I mean, in terms of that, like, yes, I've had other interests, but in like, you know, it's never left. I've always gone back to it. And at this point in my life, like, there's nowhere else I'm going.
Yeah.
I can think of this one time, like when I finished art school, I immediately was a bit concerned for, you know, the rest of my career and what I was going to do. And so I got a scholarship at a design university and did design, specializing in illustration. And I studied illustration. Then while I was studying, I got a job in a design firm as an illustrator. And I saved up, I worked that job for maybe 2 or 3 years, storyboards for movies, that sort of stuff. And I remember being so scared of not trying to be an artist that I saved up for a whole year so that I could give myself 1 year to be an artist. That's when I moved to Paris. I just said, you can try your best to be an artist for 1 year, and if it doesn't work, it's okay, at least you know you've tried. I got so scared at the idea of never trying, and looking back at my life and thinking, you never really tried at that artwork thing. And after that year, you know, I came back and I had a show and it sold out, and that was enough money to pay my rent and make another show. And I just never stopped doing that.
Wow.
So I guess design would have been like a distraction. Even illustration, which I remember my parents being so proud, because it was a job in art that was sort of, you know, good enough money to make a career out of. There was places to go. They were happy I had a salary. And then me me turning around and saying to them, hey, I've saved up for this whole year. I haven't told you. I've quit my job. I'm going to Paris. I remember my mum just being like, what? I mean, they were supportive in the end, but it...
How old were you?
I was like 21, 22 by this time, yeah.
They're like, okay, we love you.
But when I explained that I was so scared that I would look back at my life and having not tried, they understood that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a hard moment, but I'm so glad that I did that.
It's pretty good foresight at 21, 22 to go, if I don't give this a shot now, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
I would love to say it was foresight, but I really do think that it was just that fear building in me, because I knew when I was doing the illustration and design, I had this great job, but it wasn't for me. It was always for these clients, and then you're changing things. And I remember being so frustrated by that, but I didn't have the energy to paint when I got home, because I put so much time into, you know, doing the work while I was at work that I didn't feel like painting when I got home. And when I started to lose sight of that part of myself that I loved, there was no foresight in it. It was more I don't know, panic or something.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah. Would you say that's the craziest thing you've done for your art, to kind of like quit your job, move countries? Does anything crazier come to mind?
I mean, a few things. I've done some crazy things for art. I mean, quitting my job, quitting a well-paying job that your parents are proud of you for getting after studying a full degree to get that job, that is pretty crazy, I think. But yeah, I mean, I'll just leave it at that one. That's going to be my craziest.
Okay, that's the craziest. Have you ever cheated on your art?
I think my art and I are maybe like ethically non-monogamous. We let each other go off in different interests. Sometimes, you know, like when I was thinking about the art as a person, it really struck a chord with me, because sometimes you have these ideas for paintings, or I do at least, and I think to myself, oh my God, that's so hard. I don't want to paint that. And it won't leave your brain until you paint it. Like, I did a whole exhibition of hands. And hands are notoriously underrated. I did a whole exhibition of just hands holding different things. And then I did another exhibition of just reflective surfaces that are like painstakingly oil painted.
Oh my gosh.
In still life situations. And I remember at the beginning of those, I remember thinking like, why art? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, this is going to take so long. But just like I let my art kind of lead the ideas wherever it wants to. I think my art is quite happy for me to, like, I do other things, like I do a bit of like boxing training and Muay Thai training and stuff, and that takes up time, but I think staying mentally healthy through those interests and interests outside of art, I think my art respects that and is okay with it.
Yeah. Have you ever fallen out of love with your art?
Many times. You know, there's so many times where I've thought like, I wish this wasn't what I did, and I've tried to do other things, like the design thing. I really thought, if I can just do this, then, you know, maybe I'll be fulfilled. So yeah, there's times that I question it all the time, but I always come back to it. You know, it never leaves me.
How do you woo your art to get back in the good books?
Just time in the studio and really allowing myself to be bored, pushing my interests and like exploring new avenues of thought, whether it be in books or philosophy or music or going to, I'm always so inspired when I go to galleries and gallery openings or the, you know, museums. I'm a museum junkie. When I'm traveling, especially, my partner recently told me that I had to limit the museums to 2 or 3 a week, because there'd be a new one I wanted to go to at every place we went to on the trip.
And they were like, I love you, but not that one.
Not another one. Like, we've been to 3 this week. That's your limit. But I think wooing your art is just filling your mind with interesting things, and then allowing yourself the time to be bored and letting your own ideas percolate through that filter. Yeah.
One last question. What's your top tip for keeping the passion alive in the studio?
Oh, I've said this one before, so I'll try and do the shortened version, but I think my top tip is kind of like this. I call it like a house, and there's 4, maybe 5 columns in the house. The first one is be driven to which you cannot will, and that means, you know, if you're not driven to do art, like, go do another job, because it's not that fulfilling often. It's frustrating. The next one is be in the right place at the right time, which means conceptually, but it also means if you're into art, go to other people's shows, talk to people about art, you know, let it fill your brain. The next one is be a nice person, and nice people surround you. Like, nobody is cool, and as soon as you try to pretend to be cool, people see straight through it. So if you just make a big effort to be the nicest person that you can, then it will, you know, people will relate to you. It's helped me so many times. I remember just going up to people at their exhibitions and just saying, I just love your paintings, can I please just come to your studio and sit down in the corner? And there's literally, I won't embarrass them, but some quite famous artists in Australia who let me sit in the corner of their studio, and I was taking notes while they were painting, and I would ask them questions. And the last one is, it's kind of taken from Chuck Close. Inspiration is for amateurs, just get to the studio. So if you're waiting to be inspired all the time, you're not going to produce that much. You need to put yourself in the place to make the work. And if you make something that you don't like, assess why you don't like it, and then go from there. And even that is a win. Just move forward.
Yeah, those 4 pillars of the house.
Yeah.
They keep it all alive.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.